Okay, so what you should do in a survival situation, that can that answer is so wide and expansive that it can't be answered in one video. But in every situation, if you're going out in the woods just for a hike even, or going up somewhere remote, even if it's not in the woods, you should always have someone, somewhere, it doesn't matter who, that knows where you are and when you're going to be back. This is super important because if you get into a situation, which most likely is going to happen to you sometime, I mean, you can never predict what's going to happen, but as long as you have someone that knows where you are and knows when you're going to be back and all those details, it's going to be way easier if something bad happens for them to find you. So what you should do, the first thing you should do is assess your situation. Just take 20 seconds. Most of the time, if it's like a dirt bike crash or a side-by-side crash or something where you get injured, you go into panic and you don't know what to do. So the first thing you do is you assess your situation. Do I have any broken bones, or are my legs okay? Are my legs okay? Is everything fine? Am I breathing right? And just take like 30 seconds just to calm down. If you have any big lacerations, the first thing you should do, the first thing is you take your clothing, and if you have a sweatshirt on, you're obviously not going to want to use that in case you're out in the woods overnight. You're going to want to have something to stay warm with. So the first thing you should use is your boxers or your shirt, depending on how bad the cut is. But always save your outer, heavier clothing for if you have to stay overnight. If it gets really bad, then yeah, use it. But what you should always do is use your underlayer first, like your t-shirt. And what you're going to want to do is first of all, you should always carry a good, sharp pocket knife. It doesn't matter what it is, just as long as you rely on it and you think it's good. You should always have some type of pocket knife or cutting tool. What you're gonna want to do is you're just gonna want to take your shirt like this, fold it in half, fold it in half again. Depending on where your cut is, if you're cut bad, you're gonna bleed out really fast. So you need to get. Doesn't matter how much it hurts, and you don't want to do it. If you have a bad cut, it's getting really bad. You want to take this and you want to push it in there as hard as you can and keep the most pressure you can on that wound. And anywhere it is, if it's your leg, your arm, your chest, you always want to just have a good wad of clothing and push it in as hard as you possibly can to try to stop that blood flow. Once you have everything under control, there's no major bleeding or anything, you want to assess your situation again. Most of survival is assessing your situation and knowing what's happening, what your resources you have. So if you have a pocket knife, you're not going to want to forget that anywhere. So you want to take your pocket knife. If you have your phone, you want to take your phone out and check if you have service. This is a crucial thing. If you don't have service, this is why you should leave a note at home or tell someone where you're going to be. If you don't have service, there's no way to contact. But most places nowadays are going to have service, or at least a little bit. And if you can't make a phone call, there's no service, there's usually SOS only, which is just for SOS calls, which you might need to use to call 911 or anything. And if that doesn't work, you can always try to text 911 too. They have that open 24 hours a day. You can always text 911 if you need to. Also, when you're dialing on your phone, sometimes stuff will get on your phone and you can't do that. Or you're super panicked, you're shaking, you can't dial 911. But iPhones have this really cool feature that if you just spam press the button on pretty much any button, if you just spam press it for about like 5 seconds, it calls the authorities just for that reason, in case you somehow can't dial or anything. Alright, so all else fails, you're completely stranded, you can't get in contact with anyone. Next thing you're gonna need to do is assess your water situation. See how much water you have, if it's gonna be enough, and see if there's any other sources of water around you, like cattle troughs or little streams or anything like that. Could be very beneficial. And the second thing you're gonna need is you can make a fire. That's a great way to get through the night. You have a fire, scares off all the animals, keeps you warm, you don't get hypothermia, which is very easy to get when you're out in the woods. You weren't prepared, you have an open wound, it's very easy to get hypothermia and just die that way. So try to, if you can, say you just have like a broken arm or something's fractured in your wrist or something like that, you still have one free hand in both your legs. So you can build yourself a really easy shelter with some just pine boughs and a bunch of that stuff, and just have a fire. That's if you're staying stranded overnight. But you can prevent all this from happening if you just tell someone where you're going, where you're going to be at. That's the number one thing. You always have to have someone know right where you're at. Lastly, it's very beneficial to have a first aid kit wherever you're going. Doesn't matter. Just have a little pack with extra water. Always carry a lighter and a little bit of food. That's not necessary though. You can go like 2 weeks without food. You can go 2 days without water. And that's about it. But again, it can all be prevented. Just let people know where you are and what time you'll be back. You can even just text someone and text a friend and tell them I'm going hiking, I'll be back at this time, and if I go missing, if you go missing, they'll know where you're at or where you were at last. If you have any bright clothing, if you're out like in the woods somewhere with like no trails or anything, bright clothing, it's nice to have some flagging, just marking where you're at, the area you're at. You're going to be in a lot of pain if you really broke something or you have a big laceration on your leg or your arm. So, also, if you're by a group of willows, you can strip the bark off the willows and chew on that bark, and that'll be a pain reliever. Also just helps pass the time. It's going to be a long night if you're out stranded in the woods and you have something that's really hurting you. In lots of places at night it gets really cold. So again, if you have a really bad cut, use your t-shirt, not your outerwear. Try to stay as dry as possible. You don't want to be wet. Wet just makes hypothermia come 2 times faster. Subscribe for more informational and survival videos. All my shorts have really cool plant stuff and other stuff it'd be beneficial to know if you're out in the woods all the time. There's always some cool plant that has some cool use. Also, I'm really trying to get monetized by YouTube right now, so if you like these kinds of videos, leave a comment and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. I'm just trying to get my watch hours up and maybe start making some money off this. And then once I start making some money off this, you'll get lots more videos like this, better editing, and I don't know how this is going to be edited, but I hope it's good. But anyway, you guys can improve this. I just need a little more of an audience and maybe start making some money, and I'll make high quality good videos for y'all. Alright, so like and subscribe. See you next time.